All right, everybody, welcome to Avoiding the Stereotype, 3 practical applications of human-centered design for erratic entrepreneurs and boring buyers. All right, so today we have 3 amazing facilitators. First is Scott Swaley. Scott is the founder of MakeSafe Tools, where he leverages his decades of multi-domain expertise to create industrial safety products that simplify notoriously difficult customer processes. His work across different industries has been recognized in 4 documentary films, and his diverse set of skills lends to a unique perspective on technology, entrepreneurship, and human behavior. Next, we have Mary Sorber. Mary is the founding principal of Practical Insights, a consulting group specializing in user experience research. She has a proven track record with companies like Google, Cisco, and Autodesk, and has domain knowledge across technical domains that include e-commerce, software development, and financial services. And finally, we have Connie Liu. Connie is an MIT graduate, passionate educator, and was recently recognized by Forbes 30 Under 30 for her work as the executive director of Project Invent, a nonprofit that empowers students everywhere to invent technologies that make a difference. So as you can see, we got the A team here for you, and I'll throw it to Scott to continue the presentation.
Awesome, thank you for the introduction. So everybody, we are gonna dive right into making this interactive. And so just a quick instruction. I think we're all getting pretty familiar with Zoom nowadays, but the few things that might be a little different is we are gonna break out into breakout rooms randomly in just a few moments. And the thing you're gonna need to be able to do is raise your hand. And so to get this little side menu here on the right, you can click that participants tab, and then you'll have that option to raise your hand and volunteer for some of the things that are upcoming. And looking at the attendance right now, I think you're all gonna be volunteers, so be ready. And also just making sure that you have control of your microphone, you can mute, you can unmute, you're in a quiet location on the bottom left of your screen. And so I'm gonna start with the instructions for what we're gonna do, and this activity will kind of warm us up, get us ready for the content of this presentation. And we're gonna start, as I mentioned, by putting everyone in a breakout room. Each breakout room will have 1 facilitator, and we will ask for volunteers from that breakout room. In this case, it looks like everyone will probably participate. And we will give each of you a unique ID number. We will then share a link in the chat. And when you click on that link, it'll take you to a page and you can kind of choose your ID number and you'll get some specialized instructions. And those specialized instructions are gonna help you in our main activity. And this main activity is a little bit of a role play. And what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be having a conversation as a group, but you'll each be following your specific instruction, which is, other people don't know what that is. And so your prompt as we do this, and once we give this prompt, we're gonna go almost straight into these rooms, is planning your next family vacation. And so you'll see shortly why this connects so well to our topic. But a lot of you might remember this movie. You might also remember a time where family vacations could happen. Seems like so long ago. And so as I mentioned, you'll each get an ID number between 1 and 6. You'll use that to click a link in the chat, and that link will take you to a website where you can read your short instruction. And so going from there, I think, John, when you're ready, we're gonna split everyone into breakout rooms. If you need any help, we have a few people that are called workshop help in the chat. Feel free to message them or to message John if you have any trouble. And without further ado, John, you wanna send us off?
Sending you now.
You'll get to see it that way too. And then I also
will I be able to go into other breakout rooms?
No, we're just going to be in these breakout rooms for just a few minutes.
Okay.
And they will all be recorded though. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you each a number. And for that number, I'm going to make it so you can actually see me. And we're going to start with Deborah, you're going to be ID number 1. Nicholas, you are ID number 2. Adela, you are number 3. And Stephen, you are number 4. So in the chat, you'll see a link coming up just in a moment. And go ahead and click that link that you see just popping up in the chat, and that'll take you to a page, and you can pick your ID number real quick. Take a moment to read the red instruction. All right, and if you're on a mobile device, you'll probably have to navigate back to the Zoom app so we can hear you. I see a thumbs up from Stephen, Adele, and Nicholas, and Deborah. You guys take a look at yours. Okay, Adele is ready to go. We'll give Deborah and Nick just a sec to read theirs. Nick is ready, and I think Deborah is still reading. So what we're going to do is, if everyone can unmute, we're going to go ahead and we are a family unit, right? We are just starting to plan the vacation, and I can kind of kick it off. And remember, we're kind of keeping those roles that you just read. So now that we've finished our family dinner, I'd love to talk a little bit about what I'd love to do for a vacation this year. And I've been seeing a lot in Florida. There's Disney World. There's a whole bunch of things to do there. I've always wanted to see an alligator. And what do you guys think? Would that be a fun trip?
I heard alligators are a big cause of deaths in Florida. About 15 people die every year from alligator bites.
Oh.
The wear and tear on the car, gosh, and the distance, that's a long way to drive. That's going to cost a lot of money. We'd have to get a deal.
How are we going to choose what kind of music we want to listen to? And if there's too many of us and everybody wants to listen to something different and everybody's arguing, and I think I have the best way to do it. I have the best playlists and everything for that.
What playlist would you have us listening to?
Mostly just road music, lots of basically Radar Love for 4 hours.
No. I want to sing all those songs. I want us to be a family and sing all those songs all the way to Florida.
No, it's Radar Love all the way, because that's the greatest road song ever made, and that's really the best bet right there.
Well, who said you get to pick?
But you guys know that, when we talk about music, when we're thinking about music, like the only kind of music you can listen to on the road is classic rock. There's no other way.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of accidents that happen when you're listening to music and driving in your car. I'm a little worried about that.
Right, yeah. But then that's totally boring. And what's the point of even listening to music while you're driving if you're not listening to the best music for driving?
But hey, listen, I got this really cool deal, like on walkie-talkies and stuff. Maybe we could do some walkie-talkie games in the car, because I'm bringing some silly things for us to be a family in the car. You guys just want to put on your headphones.
You want to talk about things being distracting while driving.
But I don't want everybody in their headphones the whole time. That's just we got to do some activities together.
We definitely should not have headphones. It's Radar Love all on the main.
For the walkie-talkies though, what frequency do those operate on? Because I know that some frequencies are very particular to driving. Do you know what frequency they're on?
I'm just gonna have to hand that to somebody and have them figure it out. Here's the box.
Yeah, if they're on 3.1 gigahertz, that's super important. And people are always saying they don't even know what gigahertz are, and I don't get that. How could you
get
through high school and not have gigahertz? It's just crazy.
Well, but I want to stop along the way. I found all these activities. I have a whole map of activities for us to stop and get out of the car and do things on the way, so we can just stop. I don't care if it takes us 30 hours to get there of driving. I want us to have a good vacation going there and really see the country.
I can explain to you all the history of everything and the region that we're going to be in.
Cool.
That sounds great. History, man. I'm into the history. I really want to do the splash balloons and I want to find the biggest ball of string in the world and all those things.
So now that we've done the red text role play, from there, let's go ahead and do take a second and read the green text that was under your original instruction. So take a second, read that green text. Okay, has everyone had a chance to read the green text piece?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. So kicking it off again, there's one part in Disney World that I really appreciate, and I would just but I know you all have different interests than me, so I'd really love to kind of reach out and hear from all three of you or all four of you what's going on. So I would love to hear what you think about going to Disney World.
Well, I want it to be a quality family experience. I really want us to have our quality time together, and like to not the parents go one way and the kids go another way, or we all split up. I just want us to find everything you can do to spend quality time together, because we're supposed to be bonding. This is all about bonding.
What about you, Adela, Stephen?
Maybe they're reading.
I don't know if I have the best role play response to what we have so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how mine fits.
Well, just make it up.
You can make it up. It's okay.
The other thing I really want to be sure that we do is that we go and we see all of our relatives, like along the way. And, I know you guys don't like Aunt Edna, and you think that cousin Tushy has the awfulest place and the mobile home place, but we just got to go see our relatives. This is about family connections.
What makes you think that we don't like Aunt Edna?
Well, sometimes you just like mutter mean things on your voices. We're walking up to meet her.
So one thing, do you guys know that Aunt Edna actually has an interesting history? She came from a family that, didn't communicate like ours does. And so, it's important sometimes that we think through like what her experiences were growing up, because she is in a very different place than us sometimes.
Yeah, she certainly doesn't ever text. I don't even know if her phone has a button on it other than hello and goodbye.
Well, you have to understand, older folks don't necessarily always want to embrace the newest technology. So at least she has a phone, right?
And I don't think texting's that important. I mean, we can just go see her in person.
I love y'all so much. That's a great idea.
So cool. So we've got to do a little role play. I see a few more people have added. And so I'd love to see, real quick, just kind of what people think other people's role plays were. So what do you think the prompt some different people got were in that conversation?
Brag about how smart they are. Somebody got. Deborah was a contrarian.
I think Deborah had to focus on like relationships or something for the green text.
Right, for the green text. I had to calm down from wanting to plan everything and save money on everything to saying, oh, but it really is about the vacation. It really is about the family.
And what do you think people think Nick and Adela had?
I didn't remember the name of the character. Well, is one of you the kid? One of you is a kid. Who has is it Stephen who has the music track?
I was talking about the music.
Okay, it was Nicholas. So Stephen, were you the one that said I know all the history and all that stuff?
No, that was me as well.
You are the know-it-all, do-it-all. What character are you?
Rusty.
And so then one more for Adela. Did anyone want to take a guess at kind of what her role was?
Is she the daughter or the wife? If she's the wife, she certainly didn't have much to say.
I have a loud bird in my background. I'm supposed to be someone that makes lots of claims and judgments without ever having any facts.
So what's kind of interesting is you'll see when we jump back in just a minute or two into the main room that when we think about user-centered design, one of the things that I'm always reminded of is how much it translates to just kind of general how to be a good person and communicator type things. And so if we think about some of these prompts, right? So some of them were about kind of focusing really on technical things like the frequency of the radio we're getting, or our mileage, or where we're going to eat, instead of, like Deborah later brought up, the bigger picture, like, aren't we going on a vacation to like be with our family? Why are we spending this time like talking about radio frequencies, right? Which is, I think, a pretty intuitive concept for us when it comes to like human interaction. But then when we start mapping that to kind of business operations, what we'll see is that kind of breaks down, and we'll talk about some examples of how, and some that we didn't get to see, just because I know we had a smaller group, there's normally also someone playing the role of kind of oversimplifying issues, right? Saying things that generalize a group or generalize an understanding without really appreciating the complexity and other experiences that people bring to the table. And I hope that as we dive back in a minute, is that you'll see crossovers between how we can apply this to our technology in this AFWERX program, and also our personal relationships, and also probably a fair amount of the social things that are going on in our country right now. So I'd love to just hear if anyone kind of made any connections to this, what you've seen so far about your own experiences, either in business or otherwise.
This is Deborah. I think that the most important thing in designing any product or communicating any message is listening to your user. If you design the wrong thing, who's going to use it? If you design something they didn't want, who's going to use it or buy it? So listening is the key skill, I believe.
And does anyone else have applications? Is that something you see a lot in your kind of everyday practice, or is that something that you're here to learn more about, which we'll do in a minute?
I agree, listening, and I added asking questions, and sometimes it's hard to know what questions to ask.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point, and we'll talk a little bit about the power of observation, and just literally, like, sometimes not even asking questions and just being a fly on the wall, right?
You know, from what I understand, it's not just radiation, but that asteroid actually brought technology from another planet. And that technology, you know, it could, if we go anywhere near that technology, we could just disappear forever. We could just vaporize into thin air.
You say that like it's a bad thing. You want to be stuck on this car the whole time?
And not only that, if we get too close to the crater, that radiation will void our warranty for the van.
I love this. I feel like we should all be recording so we can send it in as an audition tape for a movie.
Wait, so what are we talking about? Is this the, what crater is this?
The crater in Arizona.
Oh, the crater in Arizona. There's a crater in Arizona.
Yes.
No one tells me about these things.
The biggest one in the country.
Oh, that's the Grand Canyon, is it?
No, it's not the Grand Canyon.
All right, so I don't know anything.
The Grand Canyon is a canyon. It's made by a river.
Oh, so this is a crater. This is not a canyon.
The crater impact is made by an asteroid impacting.
Oh, you know, like a big rock that falls out of the sky and hits the earth?
Yes, exactly.
They usually burn up. There's nothing to worry about.
Well, no, I actually heard it wasn't an asteroid. It was actually an alien ship that was disguised as an asteroid.
An alien asteroid. What's the difference? You know, just something hit the earth. It's no big deal.
I guess that's redundant. It's an alien asteroid.
All right, I know we only have about 2 minutes left. Would love to zoom out, debrief a little of that as well. What kind of came up for you guys as you all took on Red? You probably realized was a code for frustrating people to work with, or ones that you would probably not want in your car. What kind of came up while you guys are doing that?
For me personally, it's kind of hard because I tend to want to collaborate just by nature. So speaking over people and throwing out ideas that are in complete contrast to what they're trying to do doesn't come easily.
Funny how it comes easily for some people, huh?
I think people that I think there's a lot that happens these days where there's people, folks make assertions and they just throw stuff out there, and, you know, whether or not they have any kind of background in that area or not, just the fact that somebody has a strong personality and is willing to make a firm, have a firm position on something, a lot of times that wins the day, whether or not there's any truth to it or not.
Welcome to the art of rhetoric.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a very good point. And then Lori, tell us what your role was.
Well, I had a quick amount of time, and I'm supposed to oversimplify complex issues and defer blame and responsibility onto others. So I didn't get the chance to defer much blame, but I did get to start oversimplifying issues. It's all just a big rock, hitting the earth, no big deal. It doesn't matter what the details are. That's kind of fun. I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah, it's a good way to put yourself in the shoes of people who, I mean, it's always good to empathize, even if it's with folks who you don't necessarily agree with. So this is a good exercise in putting yourself in shoes of the folks who you might not normally agree with or want to be working with to understand what their kind of rationale is going in as well.
Yep.
And I'll pipe up for my my role, which was, I don't know if you've read all of them at this point, but the role number one of the dad, of which I am a natural. And the whole thing is that you stick to your technical objectives or arbitrary benchmarks at the expense of all else. And I think that's a very easy thing to do, especially when technically you can rationalize many, many approaches to the same problem, even though that might not be a reasonable solution. And finding that differentiation between what's reasonable and what you can rationalize is sometimes a tricky thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you all feel like you have worked with people who fit into any of these buckets that you were either assigned or you just heard of? And what has that looked like outside of the family vacation play role setting?
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of these techniques used at various times, not usually one dominating the other.
Mm.
Unless people don't have the information, they'll just throw a bunch of rhetoric out to persuade me.
Yeah, without much basis, right? And
right.
With a lot of just like fluffy language.
Yeah, and I've had people just try and frustrate me just because they know I'm going to go off on technical details or something else, and they're just going to like throw out junk just to see if I'm even paying attention to what they're doing. But in serious discussions, people usually throw in a little bit of all of these at one time or another.
Yeah. Vince, Ed, how about you guys? Have you guys worked with folks who kind of overbear the conversation or just focus on the technical details, and what has that looked like in the work setting?
Absolutely. Quite a bit of both, actually. Sometimes it's just they have a very dominant personality. They don't even realize that you're just talking all over everybody else. Most people don't realize that they aren't nearly as open-minded as they think they are.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that you also run into the type that they're just not going to accept anything that they can't claim credit for. So they'll throw up any roadblocks they can possibly think of. It's not even a conscious effort. It's just sort of a natural, well, that wasn't my idea. So that's not as good as whatever it is I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So we just need to downplay that however we can.
Well, as we move back into the main session here as well, we're going to start reflecting on how all of this that we did here ties back into human-centered design. Really quickly, with our last 20 seconds, can I get one of you as volunteers to share out to the full group about kind of some takeaways from this breakout? Who wants to volunteer?
Got 7 seconds.
5 seconds left.
3.
Hey, John, I think we're ready. There we go. We got some tunes going.
Smoothly. Go ahead, take over.
All righty. So everyone should be back in here. Sorry for the one small group. Hopefully you still got to catch the exercise when we moved over. I'm going to share my screen again for you and do a quick transition. So I would love it if there was anything in one of the groups that you thought was kind of poignant or relevant, or you thought had a clear application. I'd love to just give a moment for some, either a facilitator or a participant to really kind of share what you think that was about, reflect on that process, or why in the heck you think we did that for something that is kind of a technology-focused human-centered design workshop.
I can jump in really quick.
Sure.
Our group did a lot of reflection on how the family vacation planning related back to personalities that they've worked with as well, dominating voices, or folks that purely try to suppress an idea because they want all the credit. So a lot of different personalities that could hinder progress.
Makes sense. Thank you, Connie. And so with that, right, so hopefully we've got people's blood moving a little bit and have hopefully connected that to some of your own personal experiences. So we're going to move into a little bit of the content side here and really be talking about human-centered design. And of course, we're going to be doing this in about 10 minutes. And so we are talking about a oversimplified version of this, right? So we're not going to get into the details. Know that there are huge schools of thought. IDEO and Stanford are large voices in this conversation. And so if you want really to dig in, you can start checking out those resources. Everyone has their own way of visualizing it. And looking from the outside, a lot of people hear design thinking or human-centered design, and they think of a bunch of hippies doing yoga. They don't really know what's going on. And so we're here to talk a little bit about, like, no, this is a very practical thing, and to give some specific examples, starting with Mary.
Sure, yeah, I'm just laughing at the yoga thing. So I worked in multiple high-tech companies over the year. I've been at HP, I've been at Cisco, I've been at Google, and one trap that I've seen engineers fall for over and over again is that confusing technical complexity and solving difficult technical problems with actually providing customer value. One super quick example of that is a home automation setting where there is some technical complexity in how to raise and lower the shades and how to do that mechanically. But what adds a lot of value from a customer and especially women's safety